who is online and even those who are yet to join us online today. I hope we had an eventful day. I hope every goal and task we set out to do today, we're able to accomplish it. One of the evidence of good leadership and somebody who is disciplined is each day you set out the goals you want to achieve for yourself and try at all possible best to make it into a reality. So I hope you're able to finish up everything we set out to do today. Some of us are already home, some of us are still at work, depending on your country time zone. But most importantly, I'm happy that we are in class today. Okay, so like I said last night, we'll be continuing from um, knowing your funder. Okay, and that's one very important information that a lot of people miss. A lot of people will just write grants, and as long as we see a company or an organization that is open to receive grants, we just begin writing, we just start writing without trying to find out who the funder is, what kind of organization are they, and what just asking basic questions. So today we'll look at how to explore this part of it and why it is very, very necessary to know about your funder as long as grant writing is concerned. It is very, very essential. It's very, very important to know your funder so that it helps you with your proposal. It helps you shape and pattern how you must write your proposal. Okay, yes, and it depends on the kind of funder you have. You might not need to go a full length of writing an in-depth proposal. Sometimes you might just need a summary or a briefing or just an inquiry letter. That's all you need. Okay, but as we follow up, we'll be learning why it is necessary to know your funder before writing your proposal. Okay, so you need to know your fund. That is the first thing you should note, right? When applying for grants, remember to think in the shoes of the grant provider. You need to know what the organization is all about. You need to know their setup. You need to know their priorities. You need to know the organizational norms, their values, and the kind of projects that they are into. Okay, you also need to know if your project fits into their priorities, because if they don't, you're going to have a lot of problem trying to get funds from them, right? Then you also need to check what are some examples of projects they have previously funded. You look at the kind of projects that they are funded, if actually they have, then see it just create a contrast if it is something that is close to the kind of project you're pursuing, you're demanding funds for, right? Because if it's something that they are open to and give out funds for, then you have a better shot at doing it. Then you need to look if your grant provider, if your funder prefers soft or hard projects. What do you mean? Some organizations that don't give there's a stipulated amount of fund they can release for projects. So you need to understand if the project you are going for is it the kind of project they would likely fund. Your budget, is it within the context of the kind of budgets they support. You need to have all this basic information. Okay, and it's not just prepare. Some people prepare a grant, they have a proposal, and they just share those proposals to different organizations, not having a background or a well-defined knowledge of the grant provider. I've seen a case, someone told me I have my grants ready. So any organization I see and I feel that they can help me, I just forward it to them. It's a very, very wrong way of writing a grant proposal. Your proposal must be dynamic, it must be specific to the particular funder you are demanding from, you're demanding funds from. Okay, they need to be sure that you are going out for them, you're giving your all out for them, you're going out for them. You need to be sure that your proposal is not just a random one where you just come and fill a funder's name. No, there has to be a background check of your funder. There has to be a background check of what they do. Sometimes when you're writing a proposal and you state one or two things that is in line with the organizations, your funder's organization, you have a better shot. When they see that you have an idea of their company or the organization, when they see that you have you've done a research about them, when they see that you are stating some of their facts and some of their values in your proposal, See, they are more interested in your work because they know that you have viable information to run that project. So we need to be very, very careful of all these things that I have stated. Okay, so make sure that you know your funder, make sure you know the kind of projects they fund, make sure you understand the kind of the amounts, the budgets they support. Sometimes if your budget is too is wide, is large, maybe you're demanding for funds for $1,000, and the only kind of funds they give out are just within 100 to maybe $300, then you know that you are not getting any money from them or any resource from them. Okay, but if you're demanding for $50,000 and the grants they offer is maybe that range, 50,000, 70,000, then there's a chance that you will be looked at, your proposal will be looked at and invested upon, right? Right, so this is the content of a grant proposal. So whatever type of project you want to apply for, whether it's a business proposal or a community development proposal, this is how it should be arranged. Okay, starting from the proposal summary, the organizational description and history. You know, sometimes depending on how large the project may be or the content of the proposal may be, some proposals can have an abstract and a preface, like more like table of content also, so that your funder can have a a glance of what the project entails, but it is not always necessary most times. So it starts with the proposal summary, the organization description and history. Then you look at the problem statement or need analysis slash assessment, project description and objective, then project timeline, project budget, and project evaluation. Sometimes you could put your project evaluation before your budget, depends. But one thing we should note is before you apply for a grant, before you write a proposal, you need to ask and find out if the organization has a stipulated way they want your grant proposal to look like. Don't just write grants and forward to an organization. Be sure that, or ask if there is a stipulated format your grant must have. It asks if there is a stipulated shape it must look like, so that you don't just submit grants and not meet the organization standard. Okay, and we should um, understand if they want a full proposal or if they want a summary, because some companies, some organizations might not really want you to go into details. What they just need is just a a a proposal, a grant letter, which might not be more than 2, 3 pages of a total summary of everything you're doing. Some will require an in-depth proposal, which is what I'm going to talk to us about now. But be sure of the kind of proposal set up, be sure of the kind of the order of the proposal before you start writing, so that you meet up to the organization's standard, right? So, having said that, before I go into discussing each of them, each agenda on the proposal, I want to also let us know that sometimes you shouldn't just write a proposal to an organization if you've not been asked to, or if you've not gotten an insider who is giving you a go ahead to. The easiest way, the best way to do it is to write an inquiry letter. Now, that inquiry letter will just is just a one-page letter notifying the company of or the organization of your project and asking if they would like to support you for the project. Okay, although there are some countries that if you go this way, you might not really receive a response from the organization. But it is good to write in an inquiry letter first, so that you will know if maybe the company has the organization has a season they accept grants, they give grants to people. If they have a season, they will tell you, they notify you when you should apply for grants. If you are right on the season, they will tell you yes, so you can go ahead and write. So be sure to write your inquiry letter to be sure if the company, the organization is receiving grants, is receiving proposals at that moment. Be sure that they are willing to give funds at that moment or at that period of time. Okay, so from here we're looking at each outlined, each outline point on the content proposal. So talking about the proposal summary, which is the first thing that comes up in your proposal, is just a summary of what your project entails. Okay, when your funder sees that sentence, it should just give him a clear picture of what your project is about and how much you're demanding. You should just give him a basic information of what the project is all about. Just two line. The example I stated there is just very clear for you to understand. So I don't need to speak so much on this. I don't need to stress on it. So it can be more like a cover page on your proposal. It could be just depending on how your proposal is being set up. If you're sending in a PDF file via email, or if it's a hard copy, if it's laminated, or if you're putting it in a if you're doing a hardcover, a hardback, depending on how much you're demanding. Okay, so that is just basically that for the proposal sum. Okay, the next thing you should talk about is the organization description and history. You need to your funder needs to know about you. They need to know the structure of your company. They need to know how you are set up. Okay, and this one could take about 1 to 4 pages in length, depending on how your organization is. Okay, you need to make them know the kind of projects you've carried out, if there has been any. Now, when you're talking about your organization, make sure you say relevant things. Do not go around talking up, telling them unnecessary, giving them unnecessary stories. You have to be direct and go straight to the point. If there are projects you've done in the past, you tell them. Okay, most importantly, state all your achievements, state all your successes. Okay, and still don't look too perfect to them, because once they see that your organization is too direct and too perfect, they feel that you're hiding something, or they feel that you're covering up something, and they might want to dig deeper. So in as much as you want to look good before your funder, before your grant provider, you need to make sure you are also sincere. Now put off every unnecessary stories, every unnecessary information. Put them off. Don't try to bore them in reading whatever thing about your organization. Just go straight to the point and look for things that gives your organization an upper hand in receiving that grant from them. So basically, what they want to see from you, what they want to see about the organization is the structure. If you're registered, put up your registration number. If there's any information that has to do with the registration, maybe with your company, corporate affairs, or anything like that, put it up. Then let them know about the company, their locations, their places. If you have branches or offices in various parts of the country or the region, you state them also. Most importantly, make them see how efficient you are, how efficient your organization is. Make them see how reliable you are. They want to be sure that they know you, they know who they are giving their funds to. They want to be sure that they're giving their funds to the right person. Okay, so in as much as they don't want to be bored with your stories, they also want the right information. So like I stated before, tell them who you are, your organizational structure, your staffs, not in details. Just give a number, a summary of a number, then list out projects your organization has carried out before in the past. List out achievements you've had. If there is any accolade you've won, maybe country accolade or community awards, you list them too. Okay, anything that makes you stand a chance of winning that grant, you state it there. State your achievements. State anything that makes you look good in the eyes of the funder, but be sincere. Do not put up figures that are not right. Do not put up figures that are incorrect, because they would always want to go and do their own extra check. And if they find out that you are not reliable, then you are off the table. And not just off the table, they will not consider you for anything whatsoever. And you're also limiting the chance for other organizations who will also want to be receiving funds from them. You want to make them see lower organizations as a scam. All right. So be sure to put up all these things the right way. Okay, and every detail you give, make sure you give a proper explanation, so that you don't make them lost about you. Okay. So the next item on the grant proposal is the problem statement or need analysis and assessment. You need to make your funder know the problem. Okay, you need to explain the problem that has created that need. You need to be properly guided on what the problem is and why you chose to run that project in that community. Okay, so you need to give them even evidence of that problem. If we have, like I stated, if we have newspaper publications, if you have videos, yeah, if you have videos, if you have pictures, whatsoever evidence you have that shows that that problem exists, you need to make it available to them. Okay, it is important that they understand thoroughly the problem, because if you don't give them a proper definition, a um, proper information, if you don't guide them properly about what that problem is and the dangers, the future dangers, the risk involved if it is not um, addressed, if you don't give them all that information, they might not be so interested in granting you funds, okay, for that project. So you need to give them all those background informations, okay. And like I said yesterday, once you are carrying out a project like this, you need to make sure that you give them evidence that you have contacted the community or you've met with the right people, the right sources, and you have approval of that community if there needs to be one, or you have the approval of the people. They need to be sure that that is the major problem that those people are facing. If possible, you can do a survey. You can run do a questionnaire. You can do video interactions with the people, the citizens, or the people living in that region or that community. This strengthens your grant proposal. Okay, because once the funder sees that you have spent time to analyze the problem, once they see that you have spent time to really go through the needs of that community or the needs of that business. Okay, I shouldn't just go. Let me not go so much into community development. Let me talk about business also. So once your funder knows that you've really understood the problem facing that business or facing that um, project, okay, once they've identified that that project is solving a critical need, you are drawing their attention to you, and they will most likely grant you whatever you demand, as long as you're asking for the right amount from them, the kind of amount that they can offer you. As long as that is what you're demanding, they will give you the funds to run that project. Now, the next point on the agenda is the project description. I think this is where major work has to be done. This is where, if you're not properly skilled at designing a project, this is where you need the expertise of a project manager or somebody who is skilled at writing proposals. Okay, like the last time I wrote a proposal for somebody, for an organization, an NGO actually, I was very. It took me about a week to put this up, this project description. It took me about a week to plan this aspect of the project, because apart from the other part, if you're a project manager, and you're trying to help an organization to write a proposal, every other part of the project they will give to you. Okay, they give you the information, but in planning the project, when it comes to describing the project, planning the schedules, planning the size of the project, the funds that will be required, it takes your expertise to be able to do that. All right, so if you're not skilled at planning schedules and cost management and all of that, you need to seek the help of a professional on this. So the project description does, like stated there, varies in length depending on the size and scope of the program that will be funded and the size of the award being sought. All right. So the project description should give the reader a detailed description of the program that will be funded by the requested grant. So you need to give them a proper, detailed plan. Okay, you need to describe every detail. You need to describe everybody's role. You need to describe. You need to be very very aware of the scope, right? So you need to make them know what and what needs to be done, how you're going to carry it out, the timing and all of that. You have to be very very sure of all this information before you begin to pass it out to your funder. Okay, so like I was saying, this part of it just talks about the project timeline. You just provide information of everything that will be carried out, every project, every step, every task, individual task, collective task, and the stakeholders will be involved in the project. If they are volunteers and their role, okay, it has to be on a day-to-day basis. So you just, if you have an idea of project schedule management, you should be able to plan this very effectively. So what you need to do is, you, for each day you map out the tasks, for each week you map out the tasks. So everybody needs to have a clear objective of what they should be doing. So nobody has to interference. Nobody has interference with another person's objective. So you have to clearly state all these things in a way that it can be clear, okay, to everyone who reads it. It is easily interpreted. So even as you plan the schedule for the activities, you also need to plan the schedule for the budget. Okay, it should just be hand in hand. This is different from your budgeting. This is strictly you planning the schedule. So for instance, if for day one you're talking about bringing in or going to do a market survey, as you write that market survey, you should talk about how much is going to be spent on that, maybe transportation and all of that. Then if you maybe for day 10 talks about laying blocks for the building. If your project is the building project, your next your project timeline should also carry the basic how much is going to cost. So if you are doing laying of blocks, how much is necessary to lay those blocks? You state it there also. I hope you're following. So you need to make sure that your funder knows that you've planned your schedule very very well. Once they see that your schedule is planned on a day-to-day activity, on a day-to-day basis, you will give them an idea that you know what you want, and they know that your survey, your analysis, the strategy is in order and is very very tight and healthy, so they can easily see reasons with you. But if your schedule is not properly arranged, there will be questions how we can efficiently manage that project. So you need to make sure that the schedules are planned, and not just plan to impress them. Plan and make sure you follow up rightly. Okay, put every plan you write down. Make sure there's a strategy to actualize it. Right.